The Last Dance was hyped as Eddie Brock's final appearance with Tom Hardy reprising his role. Both Hardy and Sony emphasized this point, feeding into the idea that this chapter would close the all storylines. For months before the movie's release, rumors circulated that the studios intended to kill Venom, delivering a gut-wrenching finale. While the ending leaned heavily on predictable tropes and fell short of expectations, one truth became evident. Viewers are still captivated by Venom, and Sony isn't blind to this fact. Despite Hardy's remarks and the marketing campaign, there are multiple hints that his storyline is far from over. The supposed finality feels more like a strategic pause than a definitive conclusion, leaving the Venom's future open to interpretation. A significant clue lies in the overt tease of Null and the King in Black storyline. While rumors suggest that God of Symbiotes may be positioned as the main villain in Spider-Man 4 starring Tom Holland, there's little concrete evidence to support this theory. No official confirmation or even subtle nods have tied Peter Parker to Null's arc. Instead, hints point elsewhere. Statements from Sony imply that Venom 3 serves as just the beginning of King in Black adaptation, not the culmination. The post-credit scene and Null's role in The Last Dance further cement this idea, though his exact place in future projects remains unclear. While a King in Black could potentially feature in fourth Spider-Man, a more plausible option might involve Venom 4 or even a Sinister Six movie. Marvel has already confirmed that the script for Spider-Man 4 is complete and will closely tie into Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Within this broader narrative, Null feels out of place, a third wheel in an already crowded storyline. Instead, it's likely that Venom and Sony's roster of characters will take the reins to wrap up this arc, solidifying their unique corner of the Marvel Universe. Agony, who made her debut in The Last Dance, quickly became a pivotal character in the threequel. Her portrayal diverged significantly from the canonical version, but the most intriguing change was her powers. Instead of the acidic projectiles fans knew from comics, live-action Agony got super speed. Following the final battle, she emerges as the sole surviving symbiote. This twist has sparked speculation that Agony might take center stage in future Sony movies, particularly those involving Null. In the first post-credits scene, Null ominously announces his awakening and intent to conquer other worlds. What's more intriguing is that he's addressing a mystery character off-screen, declaring that he will soon conquer their world and that the champion has fallen. While Spider-Man seems like the most obvious recipient of Null's threats, it's hard to ignore the possibility that Sony deliberately crafted the scene to keep their options open. This flexibility ensures they can adapt their plans later, potentially inserting any character into the confrontation. While many assume Tom Holland's Spidey is the natural choice to face off against Andy Serkis's Null, it's entirely plausible that Agony could step into that role instead. Meanwhile, rumors are already swirling that Sony plans to bring Venom back, but possibly with a new actor. There are three primary ways they could approach this. The first and most drastic option is reboot. Sony could reset the entire Venom story, starting fresh with an origin movie but exploring it from a different angle. If they leaned into horror elements and pushed for an R rating, this reboot could strike gold at the box office. Fans have long craved a version of Venom that fully embraces his villainous roots, and this approach could deliver precisely that: gritty, terrifying, and unapologetically brutal. It's a bold move, but boldness may be exactly what the franchise needs to regain its edge and solidify its place in the ever-expanding Marvel Universe. The second option is to simply resurrect Venom, and this could even be done in a way that aligns with the established canon. With Null now awakened, he poses a threat not just to humanity but also to other deities. Although his canonical origins are tied to the Celestials, characters Sony doesn't have the rights to, producers could easily sidestep this limitation by creating their own lore. For example, they could introduce a new pantheon of gods at war with Null, bringing in the Enigma Force as a key player. The Enigma Force, a god of light, was said to have been created at the dawn of the universe as a counterbalance to Null's darkness. For billions of years, it waged war against Null, but struggled because its power became diluted when distributed among multiple hosts. Realizing this, the Enigma Force began bonding with a single host to maximize its strength. In the comics, this force once chose Eddie Brock, granting him godlike abilities and the power needed to defeat Null. Sony could easily adapt this arc into a fourth Venom, especially if they don't find a better way to wrap up the King in Black storyline. Eddie's transformation into a god butcher, being with the Enigma Force backing him, would provide a satisfying and epic conclusion while leaving room for future movies. The third option is Agent Venom, who's already teased in The Last Dance. During the final battle, one of the xenophages attacks a soldier from Strickland's squad, devouring his legs. While his first name isn't mentioned, his last name is Thompson. He is clearly meant to be Flash Thompson, one of Spider-Man's most recognizable supporting characters and someone whose movie rights Sony owns. In the comics, Flash loses his legs during military service, which leads him to bond with the symbiote through a government experiment, becoming Agent Venom. After The Last Dance, Flash could agree to participate in a high-risk dangerous government program to restore his mobility, bonding him with the weakened remnants of the symbiotes. Codenamed Agent Venom have a more restrained relationship with the symbiotes, not because of superior control, but due to Venom's diminished state. This evolution offers a compelling direction for the franchise, allowing Sony to explore a fresh angle on Venom's legacy while paving the way for bold new stories in their Spider-Man universe. Despite its action-packed ending and the introduction of a bunch of symbiotes, Venom 3 feels more like a setup for the future than a standalone story. The plot often takes a backseat to the film's numerous hints and teases about what's to come. Whether that future is as bright and promising as fans hope remains to be seen. One thing is certain, a trilogy this profitable and undeniably popular isn't the end of the road for Venom. Sony will bring him back. It's not a matter of if, but when and how. Whatever form the next chapter takes, fans can expect Venom to remain a central figure in Sony's Spider-Man universe. Subscribe.